evening and welcome to Tinkering with Edkelar. Ever since I've been a little kitten, I was a fan of the Mission Impossible series. And I mean the original one, none of those modern remakes. While I was well aware that most of the featured technology was just TV magic and utterly impossible, all of the electrical and mechanical hacking done by the crew did inspire me to look into that stuff myself. This is also why I always wanted to have one of those portable reel-to-reel recorders. Iconic, isn't it? Not exactly one of the featured models, but close enough for a start. Let's see what we have here.
Good evening, Mr. Edkelar. You are looking at a Westinghouse H28R1 recorder. It is a reel-to-reel dictation device with all the highlights of the mid-last century. Battery operation, mono audio, permanently attached microphone, and not to mention, the tape speed is controlled by ear and battery level. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to bring this piece of history back to its former glory. As always, should critical parts be lost or damaged in the process, we will deny ever knowing about this device or hearing from you.
Sure, can do.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, Edkelar.
Wait, what? No. The device came with the original box even. It is a printed cardboard box that has metal hinges. They sure don't make him like this anymore. Also, they don't add cigarettes as decoration anymore. So maybe some changes are good? The styrofoam interior protected the device from mechanical damage, but over time some chemical reactions occurred. The microphone cable is covered with melted styrofoam, and the bottom cover is also a bit melted where the cable was touching it. For some reason, the tape is halfway on the pickup wheel. Maybe the seller tried to erase it before shipping? I need to rewind it, so let's look at the insides. Oh my god! There are no batteries, but it sure looks like at least one set has leaked all over it before. Yuck! Okay, I'll have to hook up the rewind motor directly then. Starting disassembly. The battery boxes are going to need extra special attention. There is not a single contact in here that isn't half rotting away. I had to desolder all the wires from the PCB. It wouldn't have moved anywhere with them connected. The electrolytics certainly have an already blown look to them. I'm sure the plugs aren't supposed to stick out like that. Quite a bit of the metal elements on the inside have rusted as well. The drive mechanism is very simple. There are two motors in the device and they are tilted to make contact with the rubberized part of the spools when in use, or tilted away from it when not in use. I opened up the motors too, mostly to assess the rust situation and clean up the brushes, or rather the springs that double as brushes. The rewind motor has a little wheel pressed on the axle to have a higher transmission ratio. I couldn't get it off, so I had to keep the rotor in that part of the case. Recapping the amplifier PCB. Cleaning the volume potentiometer. Followed by the two sliding switches. The battery box was in particular sad shape. I drilled out the rivets that hold in the contacts so I could better clean the parts. All the green ones go into some vinegar first, followed by some scrubbing and rinsing. One of the contacts was so brittle that it just crumbled to dust when cleaning. I had to replace it with a spring from a random battery box. Giving all the battery contacts a new coat of nickel. Let's see how much of it sticks. And then, using some ferrules as rivets to mount the contacts to the case. That's a job for at least 5 hands. But after pinching the ferrules with a pair of pliers, they hold up pretty well. Tackling the rusted parts next. The surface coating is coming off in large sections, not only the rusted ones. I pondered some nickel coating too, but these large parts are hard to get right. So I decided for a coat of chrome effect paint on the affected parts instead. Also not perfect, but it looks okay in my opinion. Those are just on the inside anyway. The metal cover had a slight ding in it. I carefully whacked it into semi-straight shape again. The microphone also gets a good cleaning. Putting everything back together again, starting off with the transport mechanism and a pinch of grease in the moving parts. The foam between the plastic and the metal cover was also crumbling. I replaced it with some felt. The battery replacement instructions in the back of the case were pretty nasty from the battery damage. I made a replacement sheet in Inkscape and put it in. And then fixed the typo and put it in again. Why do I keep typing H21R1 as a model name? It's H28R1. I replaced the felt on the head assembly with some regular thin one. I doubled it up to get the required thickness, and the glue stiffens it up a bit too. Darn, that little washer wasn't supposed to split. I have some eyelets that are thin enough to fit. The motors have a little notch in the base that can hold the brush springs back so the commutator can be inserted between them. Then, using small screwdrivers, I could snap them into place. I did a quick test run of the motor before putting it back into place, just to make sure that the wipers aren't shorted out or missing contact. After adding the motor tilting assembly to the backside of the base plate again, I started the rewiring process. The PCB connections are simple enough. The wires are routed underneath the battery boxes. A bit of tweaking is needed so they don't get pinched. Good thing the plastic is slightly translucent. Just to make sure, I'm checking the current draw on the amplifier. Just a few milliamps. Looks good. Connecting it back to the batteries next. Now that the amplifier is connected again, I can put in the tape to test it. Nothing? That's not good. I would have expected at least some buzzing. Poking at the PCB with the scope showed quite a large signal right until the playback and record switch, but not after that. I had to tweak one of the slider's contacts. The C-cell battery box has contacts on the underside. I'm putting in some insulation tape to prevent any shorts. And as a finishing touch, a bit of foam to keep the AA batteries in place. And here's a quick rundown on how it works. The tape is put in pretty much like any other reel-to-reel device. Full reel on the left, empty one on the right. The potentiometer between the wheels is a speed adjustment that will slow down or speed up the play motor by a few %. This is to compensate for batteries when they get weaker.
You are looking at a Westinghouse H28R1 recorder. It is a reel-to-reel dictation device with all the highlights of the mid-last century.
The play and record motor is routed through the switch on the microphone. That's why there is a latch on it. The rewind motor, however, is directly activated with the mode switch. The level meter shows the record level, which is adjusted with the volume potentiometer. In record mode, the amplifier is pretty much reversed. And as a last feature, the fast switch is a fast forward mode that will put the third C cell on the play motor, resulting in double the speed. And that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this 1960s excursion. See you next time! Cleaning the volume potentiometer. Sorry.